Hey everyone, welcome to the secret podcast of Laura Palmer. I'm Paul.
I'm Amanda.
And today we are discussing Wild at Heart.
Ouch.
Woohoo! And with us is a very special guest. His name is Seth Nathan. Hi, Seth.
Hi.
Hello from Portland, Oregon.
Yes,
Yay.
this is our first time doing a Skype call, so we apologize in advance if the audio sucks.
Or cuts out. Or, yeah, it'll be fun.
We're doing everything we can, okay?
Yeah. Work with us.
Yeah, so Seth is a good friend of ours. We go way back, and we knew each other in LA. He lives in Portland now. And speaking of Portland, Amanda recently got me this really cool cologne for my birthday.
Yes.
It was like a Twin Peaks inspired cologne.
Yeah, by Levi Campbell is the guy, I think.
Levi Campbell?
Yeah, and he makes a Twin Peaks inspired cologne.
Yeah.
And I guess he lives in Portland now.
It
I guess
smells
he's
really
relocating.
good.
Yeah.
And
like
also,
leather
by
and
the way,
lace.
we're not sponsored by him. We just like it.
And sex. Yeah, it smells really good. Thanks, Levi.
All right. So recap corner. I only had one thing. Do you have anything?
I actually don't. I think
Okay.
good.
So on Blue Velvet Tape 1, I could not think of the Diane, and I was saying Diane Ladd when I was referencing Ladies and Gentlemen, the Fabulous Stains, the Laura Dern film.
Oh, yeah.
It's Diane Lane.
Okay.
I was thinking of Diane Lane.
Who's Diane Lane?
She was in Unfaithful and Under the Tuscan Sun.
Yeah, no.
You would know her if you saw her.
I probably would. Okay, that's good to know. So it
Yeah.
was not Laura Dern's mom.
No.
It's her.
Yeah, I was trying to reference Diane Lane.
Okay, cool. Well, it's good to know.
That's all that is.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. So, Wild at Heart, tagline is a love story. This came out in the year 1990, which was obviously a big year for David Lynch.
Yeah, because that's Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. He was also doing the Industrial Symphony stage play, which, by the way, we're going to be doing next week. So.
Or next time.
Oh yeah, next time. These don't come out weekly. What am I talking about? We're going to be doing those the next time.
week. Ah.
Okay, so this is an adaptation by the book Barry Gifford. I actually read this entire thing in one sitting last night. Seth, did you finish it? I know you read part of it.
Damn, girl.
I got about 2 chapters away from the end just this afternoon. Most of it I went through yesterday. And yeah, I had a really great time comparing and contrasting the multiple times I've seen the film versus the dialogue in the book.
Yeah, I was actually surprised at how much David Lynch actually followed the book. There were so many quotes that just felt like I thought David Lynch had come up with, or they're actually from the book.
I wholly agree. There were a lot I was really surprised by because having watched the movie so many times, I generally quote it in station where I don't need to probably, but it's worked out so far. Yeah, there were definitely a lot of moments in the book. I was actually listening to it on audiobook, so the way the reader delivered it, the narrator delivered it was really wild, and how close Lula got to the inflections and the scene setup.
I agree. I listened to the audiobook as well. So when I say read, I mean listen, because I don't actually like sit down and read text.
Nobody does. Nobody does.
Like, what year is this? Okay. Anyway,
I actually haven't read it.
You
So
have not?
I'm really excited to go over it with you guys.
Cool.
See how close it is to the movie and stuff. I'm excited.
It was a really enjoyable book. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I kind of actually want to read the rest of the series now because there's like 7 books in the series.
Oh, shit.
But they're not all centered on Sailor and Lula. Like, for example, Isabella Rossellini's character in Wild at Heart plays a character named Perdita, and there's actually a book about her that was later turned into a movie around 96, 97.
What?
So it's considered like a loose sequel to Wild at Heart.
What?
Yeah, even though David Lynch had nothing to do
We
with it.
gotta watch that though, just to kind
Yeah.
of see what the fuck it's
And
about.
Rosie Perez plays Perdita.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
okay, so a little rundown on Wild at Heart. Angela Badalamenti does the music.
Yes,
Frederick
thank
Elmes is back from Blue Velvet. Dwayne Dunham is back from Blue Velvet.
Noticed that.
He's using a lot of the Blue Velvet people
There was the guy
and a lot of
who,
the Dune people.
yeah, the Dune people was the proprietor from Elephant Man,
Mhm.
was in it. I don't remember his fucking name.
Jack Nance?
No, the
No.
guy who's Elephant Man's like evil owner.
But Jack Nance is in this.
Jack Nance is in this.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a dog. And you imagine him to look like Toto at one point.
Yeah. So this is actually, De Laurentiis Group did not do this one. They wanted to, but they actually ended up going bankrupt. Oops, sorry, Blue Velvet. Like, that kind of threw a wrench in Lynch's plans. However, the movie ended up getting made by a production company called Polygram, as well as Propaganda Films.
Okay.
And then it was distributed by the Samuel Goldwyn Company, aka MGM.
Okay, cool.
It has a runtime of 2 hours and 4 minutes. This was like a down-to-the-wire kind of thing. They finished everything on this movie in post-production the day before it was gonna be featured at Cannes Film Festival.
Oh shit.
A day before.
Wow.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so it ended up winning the Palme d'Or, I guess it's called. I can never pronounce it correctly.
Yeah,
The Palme d'Or, which is like, Cannes, their film festival's version of the Best Picture.
Gotcha.
And it had a mixed response. It did get a lot of cheers, but it also got a lot of boos. And the boos were actually kind of instigated by Roger Ebert,
What?
who we discussed last time.
Yeah.
He was trying to lead the media to be like, it's not like the book at all. But really, after reading the book, I can tell you it's very much like the book.
Wow.
So Roger Ebert just has this disdain for David Lynch that I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
And I don't stand for it.
No.
I don't like it at all. He read the review a few times over the last couple of days, just catching different parts. And yeah, he really, really does have quite a disdain for him. He calls him a misogynist. He calls him all kinds of awful names. One of the most entertaining parts of his whole rhetoric about the film winning the Palme d'Or, I thought, was that he made a reference saying he felt like David Lynch was the kid in the schoolyard trying to show you pictures that you didn't feel like looking at.
I mean, I get the pictures in the schoolyard reference, but I don't know. I guess I would be one of the weird kids. It's like, let me see.
Yeah.
I agree. I'd be the one showing the pictures, probably.
Actually, I was that kid. What am I talking about? I used to bring Playboy pictures to kids at school.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I found like my dad's Playboy thing or whatever in the garage one time. So like all the neighborhood kids like wanted to come see it.
Oh, nice.
We like hid it in a place in the woods because this was like, I don't know, 1993 or something.
Oh yeah. That's where you go to look at Playboy.
You're following David Lynch's footsteps after a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So anyway, what else? The movie ended up coming out in August to a wider theatrical release, and there were mass walkouts just like Blue Velvet.
Good.
Yeah, there was. They did some early test screenings for the film that did not go well. Lynch estimated that 80 people walked out of the first test screening and 100 in the next.
Wow. I mean, I understand because it's kind of weird, but it's so funny and just so like, I don't know, just so different from anything else that was kind of around that era.
Yeah.
It was cute.
It did all right too. It had a budget of $10 million, and in North America, it made $14.6 million.
Oh, nice.
So they made some money back.
Yeah, that's important.
Another fun factoid I have is the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, who does like the rating scale, wanted to give Wild at Heart an X rating because NC-17 didn't exist yet. It actually came out later that year in 1990, I believe, or maybe 91.
Specifically for Wild at Heart.
No, for another movie. But I think the only NC-17 movie I've ever seen was Showgirls.
Kyle MacLachlan looping it all back together.
So basically, it was too violent. So David Lynch just made some edits and like added some haze, so you couldn't see like a chunk of head flying through the air.
That's sad.
Yeah. Although, according to I believe it's Wikipedia, the more graphic version is still shown in TV airings on the Sundance Channel.
Oh, that's good.
Go Sundance.
Yeah, I like Sundance. Sundance Fun Dance.
And David Lynch was originally going to just produce this movie because he was asked to, but then he told the guy that optioned it to him, well, what if I fall in love with it? I want to direct it. He read the book, fell in love with it. He's like, no, I'm directing it. And they're like, all right, go ahead.
I'm glad he did.
Yeah.
So the chick who plays Lula is Laura Dern, of course, and her mom is played by Diane
Ladd,
who is actually her mom in real life.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting.
Which they go on to do again later in HBO's Enlightenment.
Enlightened.
Or Enlightened.
Yeah, which is a great little series too.
And I found like one little like weird thing that I don't even know. I may just be like connecting dots that aren't even there. But I'm a big Buffy fan. Buffy the TV show. Well, I like the movie too. But
movies too.
Okay, so the 6th episode of the 4th season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in 1999 was called Wild at Heart. And that episode was centered mostly on Oz, the character Oz.
Oh.
So I'm thinking whoever wrote that episode was thinking like Wild at Heart. Because I looked for references online of like the phrase Wild at Heart prior to the book, and there aren't any. So like that was kind of the first.
That's kind of crazy.
Foray into that phrase, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie is jam-packed with stars. We got Nick Cage, Laura Dern, Diane Ladd, Willam Dafoe, Crispin Glover,
Harry Dean Stanton.
Good old Johnny Farragut.
Don't kill Johnny.
The movie starts with the title that kind of shoots at you in flames, like boom, 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 Wild at Heart.
Yeah, the huge text. There's also, it starts with like the match burning and over, these Angelo Badalamenti strings with this epic text animation. And then the match turns into like a large like fire and the credits begin. And that's
also they use the same font as when he did Firewalk with Me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Basically the same intro with like not necessarily a match, but with some fire in the background. Same font. You kind of see polygram in there. You see, there were a lot of ways that in post I think they mirrored his style of the time.
And then there's a bunch of fire, and then we're at some fancy. Do you know what this place is supposed to be? It's like some fancy place that they're at. They're playing like some kind of jazzy.
They're playing "In the Mood" by the Glenn Miller Band. It opens with that song.
So the Cape Fear, a hotel where they like to revisit a lot. In the opening scene, I mean, it says somewhere on the north side of the border between South and North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is funny because Blue Velvet was also supposed to be set in North Carolina.
Really?
Lumberton, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Remember Lumberton?
Oh, yeah, Lumberton.
Oh, I don't know.
Pacific Northwest, wasn't it?
No, but that's what Lumberton was the inspiration for Twin Peaks, which was the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it's this big, like, it goes all in a roundabout thing.
Yeah.
Lumber. It likes the wood.
I just wrote on my notes, fancy party, because I don't know where they're supposed to be, but yeah, I guess maybe it's a hotel.
Yeah.
And then some like random guy accuses Sailor of having sex with Lula's mother.
Trying to fuck your girl's mama. That's what he says. Yeah.
Bobby Ray Lemon.
That's right.
That's right. Bobby Ray Lemon.
And then all of a sudden there's like this like crazy metal music. It's like down, 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 down. And so like they get into a fight and Sailor kills him.
Yeah. And he like he doesn't like just kill him. He like smashes his head in like repeatedly.
Very violently.
Yeah, like over and over and just that's what he.
And then after that he lights a cigarette.
After he finishes beating this guy and like just has a cigarette in his like mouth, I think, and then just like slowly points over to Laura Dern's mom.
Yeah, Diane Ladd's like looking on.
Like you can tell she's like orchestrating the whole thing, and that's and then I think it goes to prison is the next.
Yeah, he's in jail for 22 months and 28 days.
And
then
18 days.
Or what? 18 days?
Yeah, I have 22 months, 18 days. Could be wrong.
I don't know. It could be either one. I was typing my notes on my new iPhone XR.
Oh my god!
And so I have like so many misspellings here.
And there's a crystal ball, like a thing that shows up, kind of like the Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
And there's tons of Wizard of Oz references in this.
Yeah, this one is jam-packed with Wizard of Oz, more so than anything else he's done.
You can set Dark Side of the Moon to it.
Yeah, seriously. So I don't know. So I guess while he's either in jail or at the train station, I'm not sure where he's at.
He's in jail.
He's still in jail.
Yeah.
He calls Lula's house and Marietta, which is played by Diane Ladd, the mother, picks up and he's like, is Lula there? And she's like, don't you ever call here again.
Call again, you're dead.
And she's got these huge acrylic nails that are like claws. And she just stares into the camera for like a really long time. Like, they don't they edit, most movies they would just cut and go to the next scene, but no, it's like her just breaking the fourth wall and like showing her claws for like several seconds too long.
That's awesome.
It kind of reminded me of the scene in Eraserhead when the elevator doors just
like,
they stay open for way too long. You're like, how long is this going to go on before they cut?
It's like this awesome feeling of uneasiness that David Lynch likes to provoke in you with just long scenes, because who gives a fuck how long a scene is apparently. Mm-hmm. And so Lula comes, so she hangs up on Sailor, and Lula comes downstairs, and her mom is just like, you cannot see Sailor, and she's like hell, but then she goes to see him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
And then he has this like famous jacket quote.
oh yeah, so she picks him up in the convertible. She stops him from the prison and gives him his snakeskin jacket. And
What's the quote though that he always says?
I can ring in on that one.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Snakeskin jacket is a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom.
And your blurf.
And my blurf. It's my blurf and my belief, depending on the day of the week.
So anyway, they basically like get to a hotel and fuck immediately.
Yeah.
And there's like thrash metal playing while they're fucking.
Yeah, it would seem like the music was way too like heavy for sex scenes in movies.
But I mean, David Lynch went on to even kind of use that with like in Lost Highway with like Rammstein and all that, you know.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that. Yeah.
So yeah, they fucked to thrash metal.
Power Mad, is that the band?
Yes.
And it's basically the same riff from the Power Mad song that we hear throughout the movie.
Yeah.
That's all they got.
Okay, so then after they're fucking, they're just kind of like hanging out, right? And
they're just talking about this like rapey, like not uncle.
Yeah, okay, so there's like a flashback to Uncle Pooch, who is not actually her uncle, but her father's business partner. His last name is actually like Puchinsky, but everyone just called him Pooch. You see like a 13-year-old Laura Dern, having been raped and beaten.
Yeah, her face is all bloody, and it's
and
really
she's
bad.
crying, and it's really...
Something I thought was strange is, so when she's telling Nicolas Cage and Sailor this story, she's like, yeah, my mama had no idea about us. But it cuts to, like, her mom, like, basically killing the dude in a car crash. I thought that was, like, a weird...
Yeah, well, in the book, the mom never did find out. But in the movie, they show her finding out.
Essentially, yeah.
Well, because I think she comes in, like, oh my God!
Yeah, so that was strange.
It's really weird, like, maybe they just messed up there or something.
Continuity error!
And then there's, like, yeah, and actually, I believe in the book as well, whenever Lula talked about Uncle Pooch, she said that he was gentle and that he didn't beat her.
Oh.
And as she's talking about this, which is really creepy, Sailor gets like a semi-erection.
Cool.
And she's like, is this getting you off, me talking about not being raped? And he's like, I can't help it, baby. Like, they're just total white trash.
Yeah. That's adorable.
Yeah, I do recall her saying about the experience in the book that she didn't necessarily fight it and it didn't necessarily feel bad, but she knew it was wrong. So I think it shows a lot of layers of her character that later translated into the movie beautifully. Was that she's very sexually charged and sex positive at such a young age that we never really know. I mean, in the movie, she's like 19, 20. In the book, we see her in different scenes and see her in the movie dressed up as a 13-year-old with curlers in her hair. Learning from her mama, from what we see in the movie, who constantly has curled or some kind of permed hair.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with Diane Ladd's entire look, hair, makeup, wardrobe in this movie. She's like straight out of North Carolina Dynasty.
Yeah.
And she's got all these crazy wigs, and it's so late 80s.
I think it's really hot when she puts the red lipstick all over her face.
Yeah, we'll get to that part. So after talking about the rape, there's an overlay of a woman laughing, and it's kind of like a witch laughter.
Like a wicked witch.
Yeah, so a reference to the Wicked Witch.
With Wizard of Oz.
Cackle.
Yeah. Cut to the scene with Harry Dean Stanton.
And Marietta, yeah.
Okay, so Marietta, Lula's mom, tells Harry Dean Stanton, who plays Johnny Farragut, that she wants to stick him as a private investigator to find out where Lula went with Sailor because she hasn't come home. Right?
Right, yeah. Does she hire him to kill him or just to find him?
Well, she basically is kind of pacing back and forth and I need to find my daughter. Johnny, can you help me out? Blah, blah, blah. And Johnny's like, there's not much I can do. I don't know why you're so high strung about this. And so she's like, well, if you're not going to help me, then I'll hire a hitman.
Okay, that's what's happening. So is she wanting to kill Sailor because of the whole incident? And did she actually fuck him? I'm not clear on that.
It's never clear in any regard because there actually was a scene that was cut out in the movie where she fucks him at the very first scene of the movie.
Oh, really?
The mom fucks Sailor. Apparently there's still some random Australian releases out there that contain this scene.
Really?
They removed that. The book never says if he did or didn't.
Interesting. So is that the reason why she wants him dead, or is it because of the big reveal that he's in on the job?
I think it's inside the movie, the book is different that way, but yeah, inside the movie, he's in on something we find out later. But I think also she's just really possessive.
Yeah.
Like and she says in the book, like, Lula is my only living flesh and blood. Like, she's all I have. Because Lula's dad's dead.
She doesn't have any brothers, sisters.
No siblings.
Okay. I mean, knowing Marietta, she's probably killed off all of her siblings. So.
Seriously. Marietta actually has a friend in the book, which really surprised me.
Yeah,
she has like a
friends.
gal pal like that she like confides in the book and everything.
Yeah, they just seem to drink very heavily together in the book.
Yeah, she's
gal pal.
Yeah, they like sit on the porch and drink, and I think the character that she's friends with is named Dulcita. Yeah.
They just talk about killing people together, or?
No. But Dulcita does worry about her. She's like, she says something like, I don't think you should be doing this. You're making a mistake. And Clyde, your dead husband, told me that whenever you were pregnant, if he thought you were too high-strung to be a mother, and I promised I would never repeat that to you. But she's like, you doing what you're doing now is not right.
Wow, well, good for her.
Yeah. Of course, Marietta's not listening. She don't give a shit.
Of course, she didn't make the movie.
I mean, Marietta's crazy in the book, but I got to give it up to Diane Ladd. She takes this to, like, not even level 10, but, like, level 100.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And she actually did get an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress for this movie.
Thank God. She deserved it. I mean, it was incredible.
It was the only Oscar nomination for the movie, right?
Yep. I believe there were a couple of them. A couple people won Independent Spirit Awards. I know Willam Dafoe did for Best Supporting Actor. Yeah.
Yeah, he does an interesting job.
Bobby Peru.
Yeah, terrifying. I mean, he's almost as terrifying as Hopper in Blue Velvet. He's just grosser, even like more physically like nauseating in the way I perceived him.
His teeth and stuff,
A lot of it's, great prosthetic work and great costume work on him, and the way he just delivers certain lines are just absolutely vile. It's great.
Yeah, he's got like really nasty. We'll get to Bobby Peru later, but his teeth are nasty. So anyway, back to the Marietta Johnny Farragut. She's like, I'll hire a hitman if you don't help me. But then Johnny Farragut kind of has a thing for her, so she starts to kind of like seduce him by crawling on the floor and acting like a cat.
And they're like yapping at each other, right? Yeah,
she's acting like a cat, like meow, and like pretending to claw at him or something. But then he kind of tells her to like chill out or something. He's like, calm down, Marietta.
Then she talks about Santos.
So then we flash back to the beginning of the movie where they were at the hotel, I guess, the fancy party. And we see Marietta stumble into the men's bathroom while Sailor Nick Cage is taking a leak. And she basically propositions it.
Yeah, she's like, do you want to fuck Lula's mama?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, like pretty much.
He's like, no, like I'm good. Do you want to fuck Lula's mama?
There it is.
Gotta say it like that, mama. And so whatever.
Is that the scene where like she's
cutting back and
stall
forth
together?
Yeah, it cuts back and forth. So basically, there's the scene where Marietta and Farragut and Johnny are talking, and then we cut to the proposition in the bathroom. Then we cut to Johnny telling Marietta back at later time, I'll find where they are. And she's like, yeah, you're a clever detective. You'll figure it out. And then we cut back to the bathroom again. And that's when Marietta tells Sailor, like, I know you drove for Marcelo Santos. You think I'm going to let a piece of SHI like you near my Lula? Something like that. But I love the way she delivers that line. A piece of SHI like you.
That's true. And they're in a stall at this point. They're not like just in the bathroom. They're in a stall together.
They're in a bathroom stall, and she's like, I'm going to cut your balls off and feed them to you.
I forgot about that.
One of my favorite parts of that whole conversation was the way that she looped in. First she said, you're a piece of shit. And then she said, you think I would date my daughter, or let my daughter date a piece of SHI tut like you? And then she goes on to say, you belong in one of these toilets, boy. And like her three versions of talking about crap are so beautifully orchestrated.
That's so true. I didn't think about that shit. Sorry.
So, okay, back in the hotel room, Sailor and Lula are talking, and he's like, let's take a road trip to California. And he's also like, let's go out. Or I think Lula wants to go out or something, and they're like, let's go dance to some music.
And he snaps. I love that he does a snap thing.
Yeah,
David
he
Lynch
snaps, and then they're at the club, basically, right? After that?
I think so, yeah.
And so they're like dancing around to like thrash metal or punk or whatever the fuck it's supposed to be.
Oh wait, no, one thing I really thought was really cool. So they didn't snap because they start jumping on the bed. They start like jumping on the bed.
Right.
And then it not cuts, but like fades into like them like stomp dancing at the club.
Yeah.
In the exact same way. I don't really know the technical term, but yeah, that was really cool.
Great edit.
Yeah.
And that was Palme is playing at the bar.
Nice.
That was the actual band. Those are the band members that are on stage of Palme.
It's an actual band?
Yeah.
And I thought it was really funny. They're like bumping and grinding to like fucking hardcore metal.
Yeah, like people are moshing and they're just like bumping and
Just, like,
grinding
bump and grind,
and doing all this
twerking and
yeah. And then some guy cuts in at some point and Sailor like points at the band and they stop immediately. And that's when he goes like, "This is a snake skin jacket," and does this whole like spiel about that. And he's like, "Apologize to my girl." And the guy's just like, he won't. And then what does he do? Knock him out or something?
Yeah, they get into a fight, and then he makes him. The guy gets up and makes him apologize, and Lula's all like, "Oh, it's okay. Like you just bumped into the wrong girl, is all."
Mm-hmm.
It was really cute. I think that's how it is.
So then Power Matt throws the microphone to Sailor.
And he says, "You guys play with the same power Edie had." Like, referring to Elvis, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Because then he's like, "Treat me like a fool." Does this whole like 50s rendition.
Love Me by
Elvis. At a metal club.
Yeah. And people are into it.
Yeah.
And then the fake screams.
The fake screams are the best.
Fake screams like make that scene. The way they're all writhing in the crowd and screaming. Completely out of sync with all the extras. That was great.
It's the exact same sound effect over and over and over.
Yeah, it's like somebody hitting a sample button.
Hitting a sample button, and at points like it's even like on top of itself, like
so like I don't know if that's intentional.
It's totally intentional.
Okay. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, and so that's happening. I compared it to what it sounds like on the original Roller Coaster Tycoon. Whenever people go down a hill and they scream on the roller coaster, it's like that.
That's pretty funny. And so I guess after that, like back at the hotel, right?
Yeah, they fuck again.
They keep fucking.
They fuck a lot. In fact, there were a couple fuck scenes cut from this movie.
I don't believe it. How many fuck scenes are there?
I mean, who knows? There's a lot, but they're pretty short.
They are.
But that was to get also for the MPAA to get it down to an R rating. So after they're done fucking, they're having their kind of post-coital cigarette talk. And Lula's like, "Why don't you sing me Love Me Tender?" And that's when Sailor's like, I reserve that song for my wife.
Ouch.
Yeah, he's like, "I only sing Love Me Tender to my wife."
And it's like, well, what am I to you then?
Yeah.
What am I?
What am I doing? One thing I remember from the book, actually, going back to the metal club real fast, it's different. It's not some guy that dances with Lula, but Lula goes off for a second and Sailor's dancing with another girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she gets kind of jealous.
Is there a fight scene?
Sailor's a little bit more of a creepy asshole in the book than he is in the movie.
Like does he sing Elvis? Is the whole Elvis thing there? Because he kind of looks like Elvis and seems like Elvis as well.
No, there's no like song that gets sung in the book.
Is there a snakeskin jacket?
No.
That's all David Lynch?
Well, actually, Nick Cage asked David Lynch, "Can I wear my snakeskin jacket that I own in real life?" And so David Lynch added this whole snakeskin jacket thing into the script at Nick Cage's suggestion.
Wow. Interesting.
So that's a fun little fact for you.
It's kind of like how Marlon Brando added like the little guy in the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oddly enough, the request from Nick Cage came from a Marlon Brando role, and I can't remember at this moment exactly which one it was, but I think it was based on. It might have been based on this leather jacket that later showed up in Twin Peaks, where it was Wally wearing it.
Oh.
Yeah, there was some really, really weird. We should come back to that at some point.
Inception.
Yeah, Wally he's doing a Marlon Brando impression in The Return.
That's right.
That was a weird scene.
That was, yeah.
People either loved it or hated it. I could do it.
I'm not a big fan of Michael Cera.
I like Michael Cera.
He was good in Arrested because he was like that awkward guy that, is funny.
But he kind of like plays the same character. He's one note. He plays the same character.
Yeah.
He's just like the awkward hipster guy.
Who's an asshole sometimes.
Is he?
He was an asshole in the World's End, or the End of the World.
Oh, I thought you meant like in real life.
I'm sure he is.
No, I doubt it. I've heard like pretty good. I've heard he's pretty
Hey, are you an asshole? Hey.
Anyway, Michael, Sarah, if you're listening, let us know if you're nice or not.
Yeah, we want to know. Okay.
Loved it.
Because, we have tons of fans. So whatever, as they're finishing their cigarette talk, we see Marietta as the Wicked Witch in the window. Like, she's like flying on a broom or something.
Oh, wait, there's also the talking about cigarettes. Wait, you said cigarettes? Like when they start smoking and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that happened.
They are smoking, just so everyone's clear.
But they're also talking about like when they started smoking. Like Sailor started at age 4.
Yeah.
And Lula started in the 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then they talk about like Lula's dad's death and how he died, like during the scene where they're after sex talking and stuff. And
Right.
she tells him that he poured gas or kerosene all over himself and lit a match. And so I guess he died by suicide is what Lula thinks about her dad.
Which, keeps evolving throughout the story, how much Sailor knew about that, and also goes into the flashbacks from the very first scenes. It's
a big part of it.
And then there's a line that I love in the movie that's actually from the book, and Sailor says to Lula, "The way your head works is God's own mystery."
I love that.
Barry Gifford wrote that.
Oh.
So whatever, we cut to Marietta. She's on the phone with Johnny, and she's starting to lose it. She's super melodramatic. She's amazing. She's like, "Johnny, we got to figure this out. We got to." Do you have anything on that?
I actually have. She's talking to Santos.
Oh, was it Santos?
Yeah, she's talking to Santos, and Santos wants to take the job, but he wants to kill Johnny too.
Oh, that's right.
Right. 'Cause
Okay.
Santos has been in love with Marietta for years, so even they were both involved in. Oh, right, that should probably come later.
I'm getting really confused doing this because I just read the book last night, and so like I'm thinking of like what happens in the book versus what happens in the movie. So right now I'm just gonna say it so it's out there.
Sure.
In the book, Marcelo Santos is mentioned, but is never actually seen or plays any part in the book. So that all of the Santos stuff in the movie, I mean,
even the assassins,
everything in the movie involving Santos was added by David Lynch.
I like that.
Yeah, because they only mention him in the book, like they're aware of who he is. Because Santos worked with Clyde, which was Lula's mom or dad.
Was Bobby Peru in there?
Bobby Peru is in it, yeah.
But he has no relation to Santos, or?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. So anyway.
It's all loosely connected. Bobby Peru being an assassin somewhere else and getting people into trouble in different regional locations.
So I think one of the reasons I had trouble like writing this down is because they're cutting back and forth between scenes again.
It's crazy how much they cut.
There's a lot of cutting back and forth. So they're like on the road, and Sailor's like against his parole because they've crossed the state border. And then we cut to like Marietta, and she's basically hiring Santos to kill Sailor. She's like, just kill him, get Lula back.
And he's like, I'm gonna kill Johnny too. And she's like, no, don't do that. And obviously we know what's gonna fucking happen.
Right. Yeah. And so like, she said that she doesn't want Johnny dead. She's like, can't you just do it like, just kill Sailor and leave him alone? And he's like, no, I have to kill Johnny too because he's a liability. And I also wrote in parentheses her outfits with a bunch of exclamation points because Diane Ladd just looks fucking amazing.
It's super 90s.
And then Santos describes to her, like, in detail the best way to shoot someone in the head. And Marietta responds, see, I knew you had it under control.
Jesus.
So then we're back in the car again, and they're listening to like some 50s lounge music and just kind of snapping along to it.
And then there's also the scene where they're, the silver dollars to Mr. Reindeer. Like Santos, after that conversation, gets on a payphone and talks to Mr. Reindeer, who's gonna kill them. I guess.
Mr. Reindeer's the guy on the shitter, right?
Yeah, he's on the toilet with a topless chick, just like dancing.
There's a topless dancer.
Just
Santos is like,
him.
We got a problem. And there's a woman holding a platter, like a Pepto-Bismol and a giant ashtray. And then another topless woman comes up to her and says something about another one of the girls that apparently lives in wherever the fuck they are, this mafia house. She says, that little bitch stole my comb, stupid little shit.
That was after when he's like in the chair, not because they're like the two girls behind him are talking. There were a few rings.
Whatever happens. If we go out of order, folks, that's just what's going to happen.
He said place $2 silver, or place the silver dollar per contract, and like the silver dollars were a thing in it. Then Mr. Reindeer, after he talks to Santos, he places a call to a White House with like a dirt driveway parking lot thing, and then it fades to them driving
Right.
to NOLA.
Well, okay, I just want to say this quote again because I love it. I don't care at what point it happens in the movie. That little bitch stole my comb, stupid little shit. I hate that.
You know, thing that always reminded me of that, or that scene reminded me of in later years, was going back again, showgirls. It seems like such a catty showgirl thing to say, like in the dressing room.
Very
Yeah.
campy, yeah.
He's just
Totally.
always has these performers around him that are, you know, female and well built and
Topless.
topless. So it kind of like ties back into that whole showgirl thing for me of like, you know, shared combs and shared dressing rooms all to perform.
And shared men, too,
And shared.
I guess.
Another note on reindeer. I read a couple of different thoughts about this from bloggers. They thought that reindeer could be a metaphor for the devil. He's kind of the one behind it that orchestrates it all.
I like that a lot. So, okay, they're going to NOLA. She wants to go to,
New
New Orleans, Louisiana. I call it NOLA.
Nola.
Lula and NOLA.
Lula and Nola.
And so as they pulled into, I assume, New Orleans, of course, they pass by this guy and Jerry Horn, the actor who plays Jerry Horn from Twin Peaks, and another tall guy, and like Jerry Horn's just making like a weird like noise, and that's it.
Yeah, I just wrote down there's some guys being weird in the French Quarter.
Like, ooh, 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 ooh. And then that's it.
And then we cut to another fuck scene. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, another post-coital smoke talk. And that's when they
go to a bar, and there's the guy from the proprietor.
That's after they fuck.
Okay.
They fuck first.
Fuck first.
They have the post-coital smoke talk. And then they have the Wizard of Oz reference where I think one of them says, "You just take me right over that rainbow."
Oh.
And then Lula says something about like, "You just got the sweetest cock." Like, I feel like it's talking to me sometimes.
Oh.
So, like, it has a mind of its own. That was from the book, too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's talking to me.
So, yeah, anyway, they're at the bar after that.
I love their relationship, by the way. Like, I'm jealous. I want a relationship like that. I really do. I know, right? But I do. I like the whole Bonnie and Clyde thing. Like, this is, like, my partner.
It would be convenient to have someone that's in jail a lot so that you don't have to see them all the time.
Oh, wow.
Is that just me?
I think you need to put that on your Tinder bio.
Yeah, you might finally get Love Me Tender sung to you in jail.
Yeah, right. So anyway, they're at the bar, and the guy who plays the proprietor from Elephant Man is there, and...
What's his name? Like his actor name.
His real name?
His IRL name.
I can't think of it. I just always refer to him as the proprietor.
Or he's like the guy with the orange mouth thing in Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's there, and he's like quacking. He's like, quack.
But the subtitle is actually saying yeah. So
Yeah.
he's actually saying yeah.
He's saying yeah, but he's saying it in this quacking voice, so you just kind of think he's making a weird duck noise.
Yeah, yeah. Pigeons spread disease and mess up the place. And that's it.
So in the book, there's a scene apparently about this guy who got arrested and went to jail for a short time because he lost his job, and then something about like his neighbor had some like hundreds of pigeons that were just shitting all over her roof and house. So he would go with his gun and like shoot all the pigeons, and so people in the neighborhood were hiring him to just like shoot all the pigeons.
What?
And
I feel like he should have been
someone
good at this.
well, someone thought he was a sniper, so he ended up going to like jail. So because they didn't believe that he was just shooting pigeons. So that's where that whole thing comes from.
Why did they leave that out? That's so interesting.
I don't know. I mean, they worked it in a little bit to the movie,
That's
but
pretty
I mean, the thing about the book is that I was actually surprised. It's less like plot driven and more just like anecdotes and like stories from someone who told them something.
Huh.
The book is mostly comprised of like they see like an object and they're like, that reminds me of the time, or they'll be like, one time this guy told me, or the book is just all of these
That's cool.
anecdotes. Like that's mostly what it is these tiny little like paragraph short stories, and they're all fucking crazy as hell.
That's
which
fun.
I can see why David Lynch liked it, because there's so much to work with all these little tiny stories inside the story.
And so many characters and so many just weird
Weird things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. It's right up his alley.
Yeah.
I like it. And I think it's really funny because Lula and Sailor, like they're sitting at the bar next to this guy, the high pitched voice, and they're just totally like unfazed. They don't say anything. They're just like they just nod and smile.
They're just having a good little
yeah,
time.
They do spread disease and mess up the place. Like it's weird. And then I have it goes to Marietta having second thoughts about Santos, and Santos is like about killing, Johnny, of course, or hiring him, and Santos is like, it's too late, the silver dollars have been sent.
Yeah, he's like, there's no turning back. I'm in a killing mood. And she starts drawing on her wrist with a tube of lipstick.
Yeah, like she's cutting it, but like red, bright red lipstick.
Yeah, super red. So she's worried about Johnny. And
then there's like a scene with Mr. Reindeer, like at this dinner table, and the assassins come up, like Grace Zabriskie.
Grace Zabriskie.
And I don't know the other guy, and the guy who played Jerry Horn.
Yeah, what the fuck is his name? Do you know, Seth?
No, I always forget it. It's not Pruitt Taylor Vince, is it?
No. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. I'm just like reading it.
No,
no,
God,
you're so
come
wrong.
on.
I printed out like the entire Wikipedia for Wild at Heart, so I'm going through
David,
Are you fucking joking me?
Kelly.
Huh?
David Patrick Kelly.
David Patrick Kelly. That is his name.
Is that weird that I think he's cute? I think he's cute.
Not anymore.
No, when like he was then. I'm taking a picture of you with your Wikipedia Wild at Heart.
He was the
That's going up.
he was the actor that was in The Warriors, that did the whole Warriors come out and play scene at the end.
I've never seen that movie, and I hear it's great.
You never seen The Warriors?
See? Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but watch that soon.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I did not realize he was in that.
That was him that did the
The main
infamous
character.
scene play. Yeah.
The main character. Shut up, bitch.
Shut up,
Okay.
bitch.
Yeah, so whatever. He puts like a silver dollar over his eye at that weird dinner party. And yeah. Grace Zabriskie's character is like hunched sideways with a walking stick.
And she has like a shoe with like a platform shoe and on one foot.
Yeah.
And you can tell like her and she's like carrying a cane, and you can tell like one foot is short, or one leg is shorter than the other leg. It's just a weird.
It's very strange.
Character.
Yeah.
I love that though.
Yeah, it's almost like a polio crutch or something that she had.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like a mallet.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, a polo. Oh, I thought you said polo like the game,
No.
like polo mallet. But yeah, I know.
Polio.
Yeah, like the disease. Marco Polio.
Okay. So I don't know. There's like a woman singing. I don't know if it's at the party or at the bar, but I noticed that it sounded like a lot like Audrey's dance theme from Twin Peaks. It was very similar.
What is the lyrics? She's like, "You shot me down," or something like that.
And then, so Sailor and Lula are talking, and he's talking about fucking some girl who had like assault rifles and penthouse mags.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I guess because of that, he's like, I had a boner with a capital O.
And that's the whole the peach.
Yeah, and it's apparently like the woman he's talking about that he had sex with was like, take a bite of peach. And then that's when Laura Dern delivers that line, which you say it best, Seth. Do you know the line?
Oh, baby, you got me hotter than Georgia asphalt.
Exactly. You got me hotter than Georgia asphalt.
Is that from the book?
I can't remember.
I think it did show
Take
up.
a bite of peach is from the book. I know that much.
Yeah, I think the peach wasn't in there, but the peach was in there, but the Georgia asphalt was Nick Cage and Laura Dern creating that one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty cool. And the peach thing, like the chick that he's talking about, like has this really nice ass, and like she has like these orange pants on, like these orange tights on. So she's like, take a bite of peach.
In the book, they say that this the woman he's talking about is the one that says take a bite of peach is apparently like the first woman that he ever had sex with that wasn't a prostitute.
Congratulations.
Because Lula asked, she's like, so who was your first fuck that wasn't a hooker or something like that.
Nice.
Um,
And it's kind of weird that like that. I mean, I guess it's not weird, but like it gets her turned on to like talk about.
well,
him.
he got a chubby from her talking about the rape.
The rape.
And she's getting turned on about him like talking about fucking a girl
They
with
just
like
want to
rifles.
fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And they actually do.
want
There's
to
another fuck
fuck.
scene. We got to a fuck scene with the metal. And then there's an Elvis sounding song, which it probably is Elvis.
I don't know. And she's talking about Dale. Is after that is what I have.
Almost,
Okay.
yeah. So they fucked to metal. Then there's Elvis like she's my baby. There's a shot where Sailor touches Lula's stomach and then she touches his heart. And then we cut to Marietta starting to go a little bit nuts with the lipstick. She's starting to really cover her mouth all over all over the lips, kind of like Dennis Hopper did in Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
Like she's getting her lower mouth and with too much red lipstick. And that's when we have back to the hotel, and Lula relives the story of Dell, who they call Jingle Dell.
And he has like wearing a Santa Claus outfit.
Yeah. And
he loves Christmas.
he wants every day to be Christmas, and he's like, can't handle it. He's screaming because every day's not Christmas except for Christmas.
And this is played by Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover plays
the dad from Back to the Future. And he's weird as
and everything.
fuck.
I mean, if you don't know Crispin Glover, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's true. I just wanted to put that out there for reference. He said the aliens with black gloves are following him around, so maybe he's like schizophrenic or something.
Yeah, he's definitely got something going on. And then she's like just talking about all the weird stuff he does, and she's like, at one point he stayed up all night making sandwiches, and then like
there's a scene of him just like in a dark kitchen where he's like cutting like sandwiches into squares or like.
And they're all over the counter. There's like tons of them.
And I think his mom walks in.
Yeah, it's like his mom, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like,
"I'm
making my lunch."
Which I guess you said is from the book too.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. They do have a anecdote that goes on about Dell. It's a little bit different, but I'm making my lunch is definitely part of it.
How is it different?
There's no aliens with black gloves, and I don't even think there was the Christmas thing. But he did like a whole bunch of other weird shit. But
the cockroach thing. Oh yeah,
the cockroach was also only in the movie. But so like David Lynch took a ton of liberties. The only thing that was the same, I think, was the I'm making my lunch part.
Huh. And he also another weird thing about Dell that Lula Dern says is he puts like cockroaches in his underwear and on his anus, and then there's a scene of him just like kind of like adjusting himself, like I guess waiting for a bus or something, and just like it has like a look of pleasure on his face, but because of cockroaches. So
yeah, so he's putting cockroaches in his anus.
And then he disappeared.
Then he just disappeared.
Yeah, just goes,
and Sailor's response to this insane story is like, too bad he couldn't visit that old Wizard of Oz and get some good advice.
That one, it's funny. It seems so like extraneous. Like it tied into the Wizard of Oz references, but that one felt out of place.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie really does knock you over the head with Wizard of Oz references, and I think David Lynch just doesn't fucking care because he loves that movie.
He doesn't care anyway. Yeah, it's a good movie.
He's like, I'm gonna mention it every chance I can.
I'm gonna base the entire movie off the plot.
So then we're over at Johnny Farragut in his hotel room, and he's in New Orleans, and he's watching TV. I think there's like vultures eating something.
There was like a hyena, like hyenas or like some sort of.
Well, he's barking at the TV, so maybe it is hyenas.
Like, yes,
yeah, he's yipping at it like a dog. And Marietta calls.
And then he's back to normal.
Well, but she's not. She's got like red lipstick all over her face.
Like all
and the music is like horror music when it cuts to her. It's like da 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 da.
Yeah.
And she's got her nail claws out. She's like, I'm coming to New Orleans. I did something bad. Stay right there. We're gonna go have dinner at our favorite French restaurant. And he's like, well, tell me what you're coming for. And she's like, no, I'm gonna tell you when I'm there.
Yeah.
And then like she gets off the phone and starts like going, and then she runs to the toilet and vomits.
And I noticed she never like hung up the phone.
Yeah, she just runs to the toilets and starts retching. And then when she's done vomiting, she kind of like, with her crazy face, she sits by the toilet and just starts like laughing wickedly. And she's wearing the witch's pointed black shoes, like the Wicked Witch
shoes.
Yeah. So she starts laughing even though she's just losing her mind, basically.
Jesus.
Which I believe that also tied in because she was throwing up over the toilet, and then you see a little bit of a puddle. When you see the shoes, there's another the Wicked Witch melting reference.
So they stop by, Sailor and Lula stop by at the gas station, a Gulf gas station, which is a nice touch that Lynch included that because it was Gulf in the book too.
Oh, really?
Just little things like that I noticed.
And
there's like this like old black guy in overalls like tapping along to some old slow jazz like outside the gas station. And he blows Lula a kiss. It's really cute.
And Lula's like dancing in the car. Or no, she's pumping gas and dancing, and Sailor's asleep or something like that.
I think maybe Sailor's inside.
Yeah, no, he was like laying in the car, just like.
Again, I'm getting confused by the book because in the book he goes inside and she like makes sure that he gets her a Mounds bar. She's like, I want a Mounds bar.
Whoa.
So.
Yeah, that wasn't in the movie at all.
Yeah, I don't know, but it is a Gulf station.
Yeah, and it's just a cute scene.
Anyway, they hit the road, they're back on it, and Sailor's passed out at this point, and she's like flipping through the radio stations, and like it's just nothing but terrible news.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
like talk radio, like terrible.
Yeah,
they, like,
crocodiles have been sent to the Ganges to
devour floating corpses.
Exactly. Yeah, and just like, and then she turns to the next thing, and it's like, you know, woman decapitated by son, or I don't know what they even say, but just like horrible things.
Terrible, but like not realistic things, just like horrible, like made up. Obviously, like those things wouldn't happen, but
she's going through all these different things, and then finally, like, Lula's like, holy shit, it's not a living fucking dead. She like pulls over and like wakes up Sailor, and she's like, Sailor Ripley, you give me some music on the radio this instant, I mean it. So he puts on some Power Mad, and they get out of the car on the side of the road and just start like
dancing.
Doing their weird dance that
like
they do. Yeah, kicking up dust and howling and hooting.
Hooting and howling.
Hooting and howling.
And then they go in for a kiss, and it's like the fucking Sims music when the Sims kiss, like
yeah, all of a sudden it's like a score. It goes from metal music to like Angelo Badalamenti's string orchestrated score,
like really beautifully, but just totally
it's like,
out of place.
How romantic.
It's kind of like how the heavy metal music is throughout the entire movie. It's just like, or the music and in general is like just really stark and contrasted, like from the strings to the beautiful strings, and exactly.
I mean, you go from Power Mad to Chris Isaak to Badalamenti doing like Gone with the Wind, Casablanca music
to Elvis.
To Elvis, yeah.
To Elvis.
It's all over the place, but that's Lynch for you.
And then
we're back in New Orleans, and Marietta's there at their favorite French restaurant, and she's having dinner with Johnny. And
she doesn't tell him.
Yeah, she basically doesn't tell him that Santos it's been hired to kill Sailor.
So they're planning on leaving to follow Sailor and Lula.
Yeah, she basically she tells Johnny like, let's just find Lula. Santos isn't involved. And he's like, well, I hope not, because Uncle Pooch introduced you to Santos and Clyde.
Oh.
So that's a weird little connection.
Is that in the book too?
I believe so. Yeah. And then there's like some weird like old lady with like red frizzled hair who walks by. She looks almost like albino. She like walks right in front of the camera. Like
yeah, no, I think she is albino.
Yeah, it's just like totally out of place because it's like her just like walking like toward the camera and then out of the shot.
I think it's just David Lynch's whole like let's like have freaks on fucking TV sort of thing. Just like how he
New Orleans, I guess.
Well, it's also like interesting to look at. You know, it makes sense.
It's just one of those weird things that he does. And
eccentricity for eccentricity's sake at times.
Exactly. Yeah. So then they're on the road at night, and that's when we get Chris Isaak's Wicked Game, which, by the way, I think is one of the all-time best songs ever written.
It's so great. Oh my god, it's beautiful.
I love it.
Like his voice.
I'll never get tired of that song.
No, me neither. I love it.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Yeah.
And I have yet to hear a cover that rivals the original.
I agree. Yeah.
So, anyway, they're driving down the road at night in the middle of nowhere. Wicked Game's playing. And Sailor tells Lula, like, I knew your daddy. Clyde and I worked for Santos. And then he admits to her something she didn't know before, that he was there the night that her dad died when he supposedly lit himself on fire with kerosene and a match.
He was the driver, and he said he was the driver, and he was at a house in the driveway, and the house went up in flames. And then there's like a flashback of Lula Dern in the house, like coughing and trying to escape. And then there's like a laugh, like the Wicked Witch laugh. Which reminds me of like, that's the laugh in Seinfeld.
Oh.
That's the laugh.
In fact, when they're driving, like, Lula gets kind of quiet by this news because she's like, oh, you were there the night my dad died. And also in the beginning of the movie, Marietta had said, I knew you drove for Santos or whatever.
That's right.
So there's all that connected. But when they're driving in the car and they're having the flashback, the witch laughs, but then back by the car, she flies by on a broom, kind of. She's like superimposed on the shot.
Yeah.
So she's surprised, and so Lula is surprised and saddened by this, but also just trying to keep her cool about it.
There's a shot of like a Lost Highway type of road.
Yeah.
And then I have it goes back to the hotel with Marietta and Johnny, and they're like happy, having a good time.
The room is 351.
Oh, nice. Good call.
We always point out the numbers just in case you didn't know that, like, because we try to do the numerology.
We can do that
them.
in recap.
So this would be 351 would be 9.
351.
But anyway, they're in like the hotel lobby before they get to the room, and there's like an old guy sweeping with a vacuum. I don't know if this is David Lynch and his vacuum or sweeping.
He's just like a clean freak, maybe?
He's not, though. I saw like some interview with him one time, like in his office, and his entire floor was just covered, was an ashtray. Like he just throws cigarettes on the floor.
Nice.
Yeah. So Maria's staying in room 351, and she tells Johnny, like, pack your bags and I'll see you in just a minute. So Johnny's goes to his room by himself to pack his bags, and then he gets attacked. I don't think do we see who attacks him?
I don't think we see who attacks him. He just like gets knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it goes to Sailor and Lula, who are driving back to the road they're driving on.
The Sherilyn Fenn scene?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they come upon a car crash, and they stop and get out. And
yeah, they see a car accident. It's like a car flips over. There's like a dead guy in front of the headlights that are still on, and then like another dead guy or girl that's hanging out of the window.
Yeah.
And we see Sherilyn Fenn, who played Audrey Horne on Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's so pretty.
I know, she's gorgeous. And so she's kind of like wandering around in shock and in circles, kind of like pacing, and she's talking about like, I gotta find my purse.
My bobby pin.
I need my bobby pin.
And her head's all bloody, and she's not really sure what's going on. She's like, "What's this stuff in my hair?"
Yeah, she's like, my purse is gone. Don't tell my mother. Where's my hairbrush?
My bobby pin.
And then she like starts like touching the top of her hair. It's really gross. I actually like kind of get squeamish at this scene because like you can tell like there's probably like a deep ass cut into her skull. She's like, what's all the sticky stuff? And then she kind of like falls down and like starts like spitting out blood. And as she's dying, she tells Sailor and Lula, get my lipstick. It's in my purse. And then she dies.
And she died. I think it's funny that like Laura Dern or whatever is like, Sailor, she's dying right in front of our eyes, when she's like not really clearly dying. She was just kind of wandering around. I mean, she's probably.
Well, I think she says that whenever she's like on the ground at that point. Like
she as she's like going to the ground is when she says it, but it's just kind of like. It's kind of funny.
I mean, it's obvious that she's dying because she's got like
dying people don't usually walk around and talk about.
Okay, but in Blue Velvet, there was the yellow man still standing while he was dead.
That's very true.
Lynchian.
Very Lynchian. Surrealism.
So yeah, there's like a little bit of like sad piano music, and then we're back to Wicked Game again.
Mm-hmm.
So another like kind of musical transition there. Back at the hotel, Marietta is like freaking out, talking to the hotel staff, and asking if anyone's seen Johnny because he's supposed to meet her in the lobby. So she's getting paranoid now because she's like, oh no, did something happen to Johnny? He's supposed to meet me here.
Yeah.
And there's like 2 old men, one just standing with a cane, and a younger old man is on crutches. And by the way, are these the old, like is one of the old guys from the original Twin Peaks? I thought that might be him.
I don't know.
Which scene?
The hotel lobby.
The hotel lobby, whenever Marietta's like freaking out.
Waiting for Johnny to come down and he doesn't
There's
come
some
down.
old guys there, and I'm almost positive they were like, I think they were both in Twin Peaks, but I'm not 100%.
I don't know.
Might have to add that to the recap form.
Yeah.
Yes, I think definitely the one the much older one that's a little more hunched over. I do remember from Twin Peaks.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because he has those big glasses.
I think he does kind of the same thing that he does at the Great Northern, where he like just hands off messages. Because I feel like there's a scene at the Great Northern where he hands it off to Agent
But
Cooper.
he's not the guy at the bank at the very, very last episode, is he?
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. The guy at the bank.
Is that it? Yeah?
Yeah.
It may be.
Because the guy at the one you're thinking of, Seth, is the other old guy who is like there whenever Dale Cooper gets shot, and he's like gives him a glass of milk or something like that.
Oh, the giant?
No.
Well, yeah, he is.
The old man.
He is the. I mean.
No, it's a different old
he's
guy.
He's
not the giant.
Right.
Well, no, I know, but like he represents the giant.
No. There's like. He sees the giant, but then there's an old man after the giant. That's what I'm referencing.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Not the giant.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, like, that old man, like, with
not
the
the
milk.
same actor.
No, they're not.
Okay,
But they, like, represent, they're, like, kind of, they're the same character-ish within Twin Peaks. They kind of coincide. They coincide in a lot of scenes. When there's, like, when you see the old man, you see the giant.
Oh, that's right, because he does that whole "I'm so sorry" thing or whatever, and then when he sees, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and, like, it's happening again.
Well, that's why we got to rewatch Twin Peaks and all that
I'm
shit.
excited for that. So they found a note in the room.
Yeah, the note says, "Gone fishing with a friend, and maybe buffalo hunting too." And so Marietta's like, "The fuck a split!" And then she
Yeah.
just screams like bloody murder, Santos!
She actually bought it though. Like, oh, that's probably what happened. He's probably definitely not dead or anything. Like,
She's
come
an
on.
idiot. But yeah, she screams Santos like, and it echoes.
And then Santos like shows up somehow.
Yeah, and he's like, don't be a crybaby about Johnny. I didn't do anything. Anyway, I found out the kids are in Texas.
Yeah, and though he also like orders the staff to leave the lobby, and one of the guys is like, "How rude."
Yeah, which totally reminded me of like Stephanie Tanner.
So Full
And this
House.
movie, and Full House was out before this movie, so I'm wondering if like they just picked it up from Full House. How rude.
How rude.
Quick note on the gone fishing note that was left. I don't know about the buffalo hunting, but in the book I also noticed that Reggie, one of the assassins that we see in the movie, that works for Mr. Reindeer and Santos and everyone, he in the book is a CIA agent.
Yeah,
What?
it's totally different. Reggie in the book is he works in tandem with the CIA, but he lives on an island off of Honduras called Utila.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and so in the book he actually just hangs out with Johnny, and they just kind of shoot the shit and share anecdotes together. And
So they know each other.
yeah, they're like friendly.
Yeah, he tells him about how much he loves fishing. There's some comment how Reggie loves on the island where he lives is that he's a big fisherman, loves to cook his own food and catch his own food. So the gone fishing note, kind of does tie in a little bit.
Oh, so it's like they went fishing together because he's the one who's going to kill Johnny ultimately.
Yeah.
This is why it's so confusing, because in the book Johnny lives. He never gets killed.
What?
Yeah, Reggie never kills Johnny. Johnny like is not in danger because Santos is
Isn't real.
is not in the book.
Yeah.
He's just mentioned.
Well, okay, so they're just chasing after Lula and Sailor in the book. Like, what's
Yeah, so in the book, like Marietta and Johnny just like hit the road and find out about Texas on their own.
Does she try to hire Johnny to kill Sailor, or like
No.
is there any sort of like plan?
No,
to kill
the
anybody?
only time she says, well, then I'm going to hire him in the beginning when she's talking to Johnny about being her investigator. He's like, don't do that. But then she never.
That's it.
That's it. She has no plan to kill. She just wants to get Lula back in the book. She has no plan to kill Sailor.
Wow.
So that's where they definitely.
So did they make her character, or did he make her character like crazier, or is she like that in the book as well, like with the lipstick and all the?
She's
nails
crazy in the
and-
book, but not crazy like this,
Diane
like the
Ladd.
movie.
Ah.
Yeah, no, they turn the volume way up on her in
I
the
love
movie.
it.
Yeah, she definitely, and Diane Ladd's character was definitely not Lynch crazy, or Marietta in the book was not Lynch crazy. And when
Exactly.
it comes to film, yeah, she dialed it up very high.
I love it.
So yeah, going back to the movie though, where Santos has been hired to kill Johnny, and Reggie is not with the CIA, but like part of the Santos mob or whatever.
The trifecta.
So they're doing some like weird like ritualistic, like I don't know, it's like voodoo-ish kind of.
Yeah, it's very voodoo feeling.
Reggie, fuck me now, Reggie.
And she's like, isn't she like going or something like weird, like just doing weird
Yeah,
stuff?
she's doing like doing noises
Weird
and like
sounds.
clicking her tongue or something like that. And she has like a unibrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and she just looks out of her mind.
This is Grace Zabriskie.
Grace Zabriskie. Yeah.
And then Jerry Horn's there too, just chilling.
Yeah, so they're all there.
And Reggie's the tall guy, the other one.
Mhm.
And he has a gun, right?
Yeah, and so Johnny's like tied up to a pole or something.
With tape over his mouth.
Tape over his mouth. And don't they have like a lipstick or like kind of the lips drawn on over
No,
the duct
like
tape?
she kissed his mouth like
Oh.
with lipstick or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's got like red lips even though he's got duct tape over his mouth. Clearly Lynch has a thing for lipstick.
Who doesn't though?
It's kind of like, it was a little like Robert Smith.
Yeah.
That was his inspiration,
So yeah, they say some weird stuff like, "We hunt buffalo now,"
which goes back to the note.
and then they're like, "Remember the number 10." And they're-
Numerology?
Well, they do a countdown to 10 before they shoot
Well,
it.
I mean, that's
I think that's just what they said.
no
They
problem.
Just,
And I noticed like the woman was doing all the work, of course. Oh my god. And probably
She
not
was
paid as much.
She was enjoying it.
Yeah, she was.
And the
Happy.
music in the scene is really like off-putting too. It's like weird like pig oink sounds.
It's
that
like
have been,
tribal.
like- yeah, there's like a kind of a dark, slow tribal beat and like wah, 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 wah,
What are those
kinda-
called? The fucking Australian didgeridoo.
Yeah,
Didgeridoo.
didgeridoo me.
Didgeridoo me, Reggie. Do me now.
Good one.
Thanks. I think I stole that off the internet somewhere.
Who hasn't?
Who hasn't? Yeah, so whatever, they count down, and as they're counting down, like, Grace Zabrisky's getting real hot. She's like, fuck me, do it now, Reggie! So whatever. That they shoot Johnny, and the edit is kind of like, it cuts on the sound of the shot, right?
Well, there's one thing I forgot. So whenever Santos sent the coins to Mr. Reindeer, he also sent something, and he was like, show this to the guy, to the hit, fucking whatever, right before the deed is done. And we don't know what this thing is that he wants Mr. Reindeer's assassin to show Johnny, but we find out it's a ring. So right before Reggie kills Johnny, Reggie shows Johnny a ring, and it's Santos's ring.
Oh, so I forgot about that.
So he knows, like, Santos is behind it, and Marietta is behind it, and you can just see, like, the look in his eyes, like, oh man, she did it. She killed me. What a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
He's like really sad.
And he like had a thing for her, you know. You could tell he loved her. That's why he was on pursuit, like traveling all over the country looking for these kids, was for her.
Yeah. What a bitch.
Yeah. So as we hear the gunshot, it cuts to a sign it's a fish-shaped sign that says Big Tuna, Texas. And
it's like spray painted.
It says "fuck you" on spray paint on the back of the sign. And then as they pass, they're like, "Ain't exactly Emerald City."
Another Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. So the house that we saw earlier in the film, kind of that white house that you mentioned,
that Mr. Reindeer
it's kind of in the deserted area. And it has those crazy horror streams again, kind of like whenever we saw Diane Ladd's face all crazy red. Isabella Rossellini answers the door.
So Sailor comes up without Lula.
Yeah, it's just Sailor. And
Isabella Rossellini opens the door.
She plays Perdita, which is the character that ends up Rosie Perez plays in a movie in 1997.
I totally forgot her name. I just don't remember her name.
Perdita Durango, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And her and Nicholas Sailor have a conversation, and you can tell, like, they had a thing together, you know, like they used to date and probably kill people together. Yeah,
because Sailor asks, like, if there's a contract out on him.
And they had a deal, like, if there was a contract on one another, they would tell each other.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a flashback to the burning house, and it shows Santos pouring the kerosene on Laura Dern's dad's, like, knocked out body. Like, he's out cold, and Santos is pouring the kerosene all over him.
Yeah, so it's revealed that Santos and Marietta killed Clyde, Lula's dad, by setting the house on fire with Sailor outside in the getaway car.
Yeah, so everybody was there. It was a party.
Yeah, so...
and then she says there's no contract.
She's like, no, there's no contract from Santos or Marietta, blah, blah, blah.
Then he takes her at her word.
Yeah, he's kind of an idiot.
Yeah.
So he returns back to the motel room that they're staying at, which I don't know if they have mentioned or say this in the movie, but in the book it's called the Iguana.
Oh, no.
The Iguana Hotel.
I don't think I saw that, yeah.
And there's puke on the motel room floor.
There's flies eating it.
Yeah, it's gross.
You just hear flies.
And so Sailor's like, what? Why does it smell? And she's like, all this driving's upsetting me, baby. And it's obvious to the audience that she must be pregnant because they fucked so many times already at this point in the movie.
Yeah. And she also says, like, I hope seeing that girl die didn't jinx us.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also brought her a candy necklace.
Right. And there's also just a quick shot of Marietta as the Wicked Witch again.
There's okay.
In there.
There's so many like quick edits like that.
Yeah, this is a much more difficult film to talk about than I expected because between the book and all the editing in this movie, my thoughts are all over the place. They're scattered.
Yeah, I know. And it seems like the movie's like that too. So we're all on the same page.
And the great thing about the Lynch film too is every time I watch it, there's like some little thing about it that I forgot about.
Yeah.
And there's always these little,
There's just so much happening.
Oddities. Yeah. So anyway, he gets her candy necklace and she's like, well, I'm never going to eat it, but if I do, I'll think of you. And they decide to take a walk outside. It's like nighttime outside. And it's like the hotel, but also kind of a little bit of like a trailer park.
Yeah, it's a weird vibe.
It's just a bunch of strandees in this nowhere town.
And they're out like in the courtyard.
Yeah, kind of a courtyard. It's total like white trash, middle of nowhere, Texas. And there's this guy standing outside the motel, like just a totally random guy. And he's like, Robert Britton, that dumb fuck, that stupid shit deserved to die, that fucking asshole.
Oh, because I read the newspaper article about the car crash, which was the car crash that they came upon.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
I didn't put that.
What?
Are you sure?
I mean, it makes sense. Because they're talking, like they get to the motel, they're all gathered around with these guys, and it's like one's like a sheriff or a deputy or I don't know what the fuck he is, but they're reading an article about a car crash about the people dying, and then that guy says Robert Braid
Nice catch.
deserves to die. So I just figured.
So there's some hillbillies laughing outside the table over some whiskey and
Yeah, just making like really dumb jokes.
Yeah.
Not really that funny.
And these hillbillies actually play more of a part in the book where because Sailor actually looks for honest work when they get to Big Tuna because he doesn't have much money left. That's why they stay there because they're like running out of money.
The Strandies, yeah.
And so he actually goes into this like auto shop because he's like, I can do auto work or whatever. And he meets those hillbillies there, but they're actually like kind of helpful in the book, like in terms of like helping him get a job, and they're nice to him and stuff.
Okay.
But they're still like crazy hillbillies. But they're also Strandies.
They are Strandies, okay. Because there was like the guy like dressed in like a police uniform. Is he a Strandy as well, or?
I'm not sure about that guy, but I do know that two of the hillbillies. There's the story in the book was that one of the guys, his dad or grandfather died and left his car to this guy. So they flew from California to Miami or something, and picked up the car, and the car ended up stranded near Big Tuna.
Weird.
So
wasn't there also something wrong with Sailor and Lula's car?
Yeah. Well, it
because he was working on it in later scene. He's working on it, but I don't really think they addressed.
It breaks down in the book, but I don't think they show it breaking down in the movie.
They don't, right?
Yeah.
Do you recall that, Seth?
I don't recall any. I recall. No, I don't recall anything happening with their engine, but I know they were just low on money.
I feel like they just stopped because they were low on money.
But there's a scene where like he's working on that car.
That's what I'm thinking, and that's like I think David Lynch, just like us, was getting the book and the movie confused because he did that earlier, like we talked about.
Oh yeah, with the uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't know.
And then there's also some other weird things that they talk about. Like there's I guess a porno being shot at the motel.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of like topless, like really
big
overweight women
girls.
like running around like circles, like laughing,
and people having a good time. And
it feels very John Waters.
It does feel very John Waters.
Yeah.
John Waters
Again.
Trailer Park. And then fucking Jack Nance comes up and has his big thing.
He's like, my dog barks some. Mentally, you picture my dog, but I have not told you the type of dog which I have. You might even picture Toto from The Wizard of Oz. And then randomly, like, this guy comes up and does, like, a magic trick with, like, a card and, like, a flame. Like
flash paper?
Yeah, so he pulls, like, a card from, like, a deck of cards, like, out of his, like a sleeve or something, and, like, it lights on fire for a quick second.
Yeah, that was the end of it.
And that was that.
Yeah.
Like, and then that's him. And then finally we get Bobby Peru coming up.
Yeah, to this awesome music.
Yeah, so Willam Dafoe is Bobby Peru, definitely one of the best villains in cinema history, in my opinion.
And he's like this like gross looking, like his hair is all slicked back, and his teeth are just like fucked.
He's got more gums than he does teeth. His teeth are like baby teeth, and they're all brown. And then he's got like tons of like gums.
Yeah.
All over.
It's pretty
covering his teeth, and like his eyes are just like they look like cracked out and like devilish.
Yeah. Willam Dafoe, he kind of just looks like that anyway sometimes.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
I mean, yeah, he's an amazing actor. He's an amazing character actor. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
And he picks so many great roles too.
He does.
Unfortunately, I think after this movie, he did that really terrible movie with Madonna, Body of Evidence.
I never saw that.
It's like a Skinamax type of flick.
Oh my God, yes, Body of Evidence, like the year it came out.
Yeah, like 93, Willam Dafoe went on to do like that movie with Madonna, and it's basically like him supposed to be going after her, but like he's her lawyer, and she just like fucks him crazy. And the reason she's even on trial is because she apparently fucks some other guy to death.
What?
It's like a softcore porn almost. It seems like it's made for Cinemax. But Julianne Moore's in it, and Willam Dafoe's in it, Madonna's in it, so.
I'll watch that actually.
It's on Hulu.
Oh yeah. Also, Bobby says something about One-Eyed Jacks. He's like, One-Eyed Jack is looking for a peepin' or something like that.
Yeah, Bobby. He's got like his John Waters mustache, and he's scary as fuck. And then he's like, One-Eyed Jack wants to go peeking at a seafood store.
Oh, yeah.
And he's making that reference to Lula, and she's kind of shifting uncomfortably.
Yeah. And they're kind of unfazed. Like Sailor and Lula are just kind of like, yeah, like smiling, like kind of just nodding along.
Yeah, they're just like
just there,
observing. Really, they're just kind of taking it all in.
Not really reacting.
And there's like kind of a wonky guitar porno type soundtrack playing in the background.
I like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
I'm into it.
So then I think she basically like wants to go. She's like, you know, they talk a little bit, and she's like, I think I want to go back to the room, so they leave, and they cut to the memory of Pooch, and then her having her abortion at the age of 13.
Yeah.
And
then she realizes what's going on.
But she realizes she's pregnant at that point.
Yeah.
So, but whenever they show her like having the abortion in the book, Marietta takes Lula to Miami to get the abortion, even though they live in North Carolina, and Lula's like about to pass out and she's crying like on the elevator or something on the way out, and her mom's like, "You should be thankful. I got you the best abortionist in all the South. Do you know how much money I spent on this?" Yeah, it's crazy.
That's pretty funny.
So she has trouble admitting that she's pregnant. So she writes it on a piece of paper and gives it to the sailor, says, "I'm pregnant."
That reminds me of that meme. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the like YouTube like meme, and it's like this guy like making fun of people who are typing in like "I'm pregnant," but it's like misspelled. Just people like misspelling.
Oh yeah,
pregnant.
like the Yahoo Answers.
Like, I'm pregnant.
Yeah, am I pregnant? I'm like, and like all these people who can't spell it. I'm like, God, I hope not, 'cause he cannot spell.
So I was like wondering if she would be like, "I'm pregnant," or like she wrote it down for sailor. She's like, I can't say it. I have to write it down. And I just thought like, "I'm pregnant." So that happened.
So whatever, she hands him the note, he reads it, and then lights 2 cigarettes at once and starts smoking both of them. And he's like, "It's okay by me, Peanut."
But she's like, "I'm not sure."
She's like, "I don't know if it's okay by me, honey." And so then you hear like the witch laughing in the background again, and they say something like along the lines of, "We broke down on that yellow brick road."
Yeah.
And Dern was wearing this outside too, but she has this really amazing like 1990 kind of like leather top on or whatever. I'm obsessed with
love her fucking clothing in this.
Yeah, I love all of her and I just noticed like this leather outfit was different from her because she's wearing like a lot of like jazzercise type spandex outfits a lot.
Yeah.
And this was like her, I don't know, dressed up for a night out kind of.
dressed up for a night out and bondage after.
Yeah.
And the hot sex after.
I don't know. Do you have anything else on that, Seth?
I definitely have some comments on the costumes where it went. Yeah, she went from jazzercise to just lace to a very different scene, and it almost felt like she, once realizing her pregnancy, may have gone to wanting to dress more maternal. I don't know.
Yeah, or more mature.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that.
Mm.
It did change when she got pregnant.
Although, before she gets a little too maternal, there's the scene where she's in lingerie and by herself, like that lacy lingerie.
Yeah, I love that.
And Bobby Peru shows up. And this is like the next day.
This is the next day, yeah. He comes to the door, yeah.
And he's like, basically asks if he can use the bathroom or whatever. And
she's very hesitant.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know, because she's like literally wearing like heels and lingerie, but like, expecting Sailor to come in and fuck her, basically.
Right.
And then Bobby Peru shows up. And so he kind of makes his way into the room, and then he goes uses the bathroom with the door open, and she kind of turns away so she doesn't see.
I didn't even notice that, yeah. It was open.
And that's when they have that really creepy ass scene where he kind of like, I don't even want to use the word seduce, but
he like molests her.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially.
He sexually assaults her in a really weird, despicable way.
Like dominant way. Yeah, because he like is violent with her. He grabs her hair. Yeah. She tries to pull away.
And he keeps telling her like, say fuck me.
Yeah.
And she won't. So finally he like screams bloody murder at her. "I'll tear your fucking heart out, girl." And so then like he starts whispering, say fuck me, like over and over.
As
like,
he's like touching her
and,
all the
like,
way down
her
to her
from
crotch.
her boobs to her pussy.
And as soon as he gets to her pussy, she says, like, she's like, fuck me.
And then he's just like, can't, maybe later.
Yeah, someday, honey, I will, but I gotta get going. And this is like this comedic, like...
It's like, dun-dun-dun.
Yeah.
And so that, I think, is one of those perfect examples of where, you know, in this movie, he turned something really, really dark and that made you really uncomfortable watching into a moment of comic relief that he does in so many times in this film. And
Absolutely.
You know, where he jumps away, later stuff at the end that I'm sure we'll cover, you know. There's comic relief that turns basically ultra violence into something that makes you laugh. And, you know, Tarantino has that
Yeah.
It's that vibe as well. I mean, it happened in the first scene where we all talked about where he smashes some guy's head in and blood splattering everywhere. He just lights a cigarette and he looks up and points up at the mother, at Marietta, who he knows orchestrated the whole thing.
Yeah.
But in such a comical way that it's so overplayed that it makes us giggle. So it's
Yeah, and we saw the same thing in Blue Velvet, like when Dennis Hopper rapes Isabella Rossellini in that weird scene where he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I showed Wild at Heart to my mom, and even she laughed at the part Laura Dern says "fuck me," and he's like, maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next
My
time.
mom laughed at that.
See you
So I
later.
was like, okay, so this scene, like, I'm not the only person laughing at this really horrible scene.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
feel
and it
better
had
about
to be
myself.
like intentional, right? Like that's just what he does, you know.
Yeah. So, Laura Dern is like, he leaves, she's freaked out, and she clicks her red heels 3 times like Dorothy.
Like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Sailor, who's working on a car. Right. Or do you have anything else?
I think he's working on a car or something, and Bobby pulls up in a similar classic convertible and takes Sailor for a ride.
To get some beer.
Yeah.
To get a beer.
And Laura Dern's in the hotel room, basically having PTSD shock and like staring at herself in the mirror all intensely.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bobby and Sailor go to the bar at the point where Bobby tells him that there's a feed store that they want to do like a stick 'em up and rob this place that Bobby knows about. He's like, it'll be really easy. It'll get you $2,000 to Mexico or wherever you want to go.
To raise a kid. He mentions like, because to raise a family.
Yeah.
And then he's like, wait a minute, like, how do you know? What are you talking about? And Bobby's all like, yeah, like Lula told me. And he's like, Lula told you? And it was just kind of weird. I don't think they really. I mean, obviously Bobby doesn't tell him what actually happened.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think Sailor like inquires on how Bobby knows exactly. So I think
something happens where like Sailor's like, did Lula tell you she's pregnant?
Mhm.
And he's like, says something like, I just know, or something like.
No, he said he talked to her, right?
He says at one point, with Lula being in a familiar way and all, and then that's where the conversation leads to Sailor asking, how the hell do you know? You were just asking about where the location of my wife. And I think he does admit that he happened to come across her at the hotel, but it was really, really vague and like half a sentence.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. And so I think Sailor's kind of probably mad, and so he's like, I'll do the job, or basically, right? Essentially.
Well, he just wants the money, I
Yeah.
think, to get the hell out of Big Tuna and keep going.
Yeah.
So they go outside, and Bobby's like, check out the trunk of my car and all the guns I have. And Sailor admits he only has like $49, so he's like really considering doing this heist. And we get like a kind of a shot of a crystal ball, like kind of like the Wicked Witch's crystal ball, and them having this conversation in the parking lot. And Sailor's like, well, this will get us down the yellow brick road.
So, okay, I have a question about the crystal ball. Like, I know it's a Wizard of Oz reference, but like, what does it really represent in the movie?
That David Lynch loves Wizard of Oz. I don't know. I guess it's like trying to find a place called home. There's no
Yeah.
place like home, but
I think it maybe important plot points is when it kind of appears. Maybe like when the decisions that could move their future to a better direction happen, but in
Yeah.
the opposite way, like they make the wrong choices essentially.
Right.
It
So
kind of
it's-
seems like that.
yeah, maybe it does show up kind of in the moments where they're choosing like you could go down a fork in the road. This way could be bad. This way could be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just speculating. I
It
don't
could
know.
be.
And I think as well that there's something ominous and that somebody is controlling. It's a metaphor for that somebody is controlling what's happening to them, because all of these things where they could make the right decision, they're only being given the proposition of the wrong decision by basically people that Marietta has hired.
Oh, I like that. So yeah, it's all orchestrated.
Mm.
I see.
Wicked Witch / somebody is controlling what's happening to them in this choose your adventure Oregon Trail Wizard of Oz road flick that they have going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's smart. I wrote down nice underwear, Nick. 'cause-
Oh yeah. So Lula, I said Dern. Lula is
Lula
still
Dern.
like chain smoking, even though she's pregnant in the motel room.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And Sailor gets undressed in his little bikini briefs, and
They're like black, right?
yeah.
Oh.
And he admits
Sexy.
to her that he was out drinking with Bobby. And then there's a shot of Perdita's house again.
Okay.
And then a shot where we go back to Lula's crying next to Sailor in bed. And then we cut back to Perdita dancing. And
Like Audrey's dance.
yeah, so Bobby like reveals something to Perdita that something bad might happen, and he's like laughing about it. And so he gets Perdita to be their getaway driver.
And I thought it was kind of weird that like this is the elaborate plan to kill Sailor. Like, why not just like, why couldn't Bobby just kill him when he took him out for a beer? Something like that.
Because he wants money too.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's money to be had. So they say like the eagle flies on Friday. So they got that planned. And so Lula's just stuck in bed depressed, but still looking fabulous. There's a beautiful soundtrack playing by Angelo. And then we get to the heist.
Yeah, Sailor's out like in a parking lot, like a gravel dirt parking lot, just like regretting it. Like he doesn't want to be there. And then
yeah, he's nervous.
What's her name? Isabella and Bobby pull up, and he doesn't know that she's in on this.
Right. Yeah.
And he's pissed.
He's like, "What's she doing here?"
Yeah.
So.
And he also says no one gets hurt. He doesn't want anybody to get hurt.
Right. Yeah. So they're they go to the pizza supply store, and
there's like a beautiful score. It's Wir letzte Lieder für ich Aberdraht. I don't know who the artist is.
Oh.
Who the composer, but that's like the string music that's playing over.
Oh, I thought it was Angelo.
I thought it was too, but I was like, I know the song, and it's it's that whatever
cool.
that is. Yeah, I don't know who the fucking composer was. I didn't look that up.
Interesting. So yeah, whatever. They're at the pizza supply store. They put on like the pantyhose over their heads.
Yes.
And
which doesn't really like hide your identity.
But it makes Willam Dafoe look even creepier than he already does. Like something about like his face is already horrifying, but when you put pantyhose over this face, like it is the scariest fucking bit. Like imagine like waking up in the morning and seeing that face looking at you. You know what I mean? Like you would die of a heart attack on the spot.
Yeah.
And the book does a pretty good job of describing exactly what you're seeing on screen.
Oh, so he looks like that in the book?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did they explain why his teeth are like that?
Probably because he's just like fresh.
Doesn't take care of it.
And he spent a lot of time in prison too, so he probably didn't have access to like, toothpaste and stuff.
Yeah.
So whatever, they go inside and there's like 2 old guys or something running the front counter, and he's like, get in the back. And as they're like doing the stick up, like a cop pulls up and pulls up next to Perdita, Isabella Rossellini outside. He's just kind of like asking her questions.
He's like hitting on her.
Yeah, he's kind of hitting on her.
Well, she's just like at the car. I think he asked she was married or something, because I think she said like my husband's in there.
Oh yeah, she's like my husband's getting some supplies inside right now, because he's asking her what she's up to. And so inside, like Sailor realizes he has fake bullets, like blanks or something.
Oh yeah.
So like he tries to so Bobby kills everyone. Like,
yeah, Bobby starts shooting, and then Isabella drives away because the plan wasn't to kill.
Right.
Anybody.
So once Bobby like starts killing the people who work at the feed store, Isabella Rossellini like takes off and
wait,
with
is this
the
a bank or a
convertible.
feed store?
It's the feed store.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I actually on my notes I originally wrote bank, and then later on I wrote not bank, feed supply store.
Okay.
I
have bank.
Yeah, no, it's also a feed supply in the book. So
it looks a lot like a bank.
Yeah, because I always thought it was a bank until I actually took notes on this. So yeah, whatever.
And so they're in a gunfight, and the cop hears the gunfire.
Nick Cage is like, I'm just gonna say whoever's name. Nick Cage is like, what are you doing? And then like, Willam Dafoe's like laughing like a psycho. He's like, you're next, fucker. And basically admits that he's just gonna take the money and kill Nick Cage. And so that's when Nick Cage tries to shoot Bobby and realizes he doesn't. There's either no bullets or there's blanks or something. Yeah. And so so I don't know, like the cop ends up shooting Bobby Peru.
They move the fight outside.
Yeah, they're outside. The cop's there, and the cop shoots Bobby Peru.
I think the Bobby Peru shoots the cop too, right? They shoot.
Well, yeah, he opens fire. I don't know if it hits him or grazes him.
I think so, because I think nobody makes it really. I don't know.
But anyway, the cop shoots and kills Bobby Peru, and his head explodes like really dramatically.
Well, no, the cop doesn't shoot his head. Like, I don't know what the fuck happens there. So the cop shoots Bobby Peru, and Bobby's like going down with his shotgun. He has like a sawed-off shotgun that he was bragged about earlier, and it's like he just like falls like right on his shotgun with his head, and the trigger gets pulled somehow. I'm not sure. Did he kill himself? Like, was he just like, I'm done with this, I'm gonna just kill myself? Like, what happened?
Or he just like fell in a weird way. I don't know. I think they may have edited this weird for the MPAA as well.
Oh.
So it's possible like there was some kind of like, let's avoid NC-17 by making this big or something.
Maybe.
But yeah, he does kind of fall on his own shotgun.
Yeah, does he kill himself or is that an accident?
I always interpreted that as an accident. I don't know. Maybe there's definitely an argument for it could have been he just did it himself. But yeah, I always felt like he fell on the trigger accidentally and ended up in a really, really gruesome death.
Yeah.
At the time or in the same sequence, where does the hand, was that a cashier? Where somebody's hand gets shot off and then we see the dog running away with it?
Yeah. So the guys from the feed store are like crawling covered in blood, and one of the guys is like missing his arm or something, and the other guy's like, "You can sew it back on."
And we really have no idea what's going on here. We just see like a bunch of blood and two guys and one guy with a missing hand, and they're just like crawling on the floor.
Yeah, it's so weird. And so yeah, Sailor gets arrested.
Yeah, he gets arrested. He makes it out alive.
So now we're nearing the end of the movie, pretty much, and
so really quick.
Yeah.
Quick random note on that scene that I just read about recently that I didn't catch before, but I had seen the movie, was that the dog running away with the hand that had been shot off was an homage to one of Akira Kurosawa's movies. There's a very it's a very famous scene in this movie Yojimbo that I guess was Lynch kind of lifted from there.
Yeah, I've only seen a couple. My ex was really into him, but I couldn't tell you what any of them are about.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one. I don't know any of them, but
something to move into.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
So next I have her at the courthouse.
Yeah, we're at the courthouse.
And Lula's crying and wearing her candy necklace. And then Lula's mom shows up with Santos, and they said they're going to take her to the San Antonio airport. Is that right? San Antonio?
Yeah.
And she's, doesn't want to leave. She doesn't want to leave Sailor. And I think she kind of just goes along with it, and she thinks that these people are here to help her.
But Santos tries to hug her, and Lula like screams.
Yeah, that's right.
She's like, ah!
Yeah, that's right.
So she's like just kind of like wants out of his embrace. She's so disgusted.
Yeah.
So Sailor's in the slammer, gets a letter from Lula. Time has passed, and she talks about how she's named her kid Pace, which I thought was kind of weird because their names, like Pace's mom and grandma, their names are Marietta Pace Fortune and Lula Pace Fortune.
What?
So I'm like, is this kid Pace Fortune?
Pace. Pace Fortune the second. Weird. Oh, it also says he was in prison for 6 years. It also mentions that.
Right. And, she's like, I just miss dancing and talking and fucking and all that stuff.
Yeah, especially the other.
Oh, yeah, and especially the other. That's what.
Especially the other.
It's cute.
So whatever, 6 years passes.
5 years, 10 months, 21 days later.
Yeah, so almost 6 years. In the book, he actually spends 10 years in the slammer for this.
Why did he change it? It's kind of weird.
Numerology? Maybe because of the way they appear.
Maybe.
I don't know, because she's 13 at one point.
Maybe it's the numerology.
She's in her late 20s at another point in the movie.
Oh, maybe.
So, I don't know.
And yeah, so it says Sailor's train gets in at 6. I don't really know, where are they? Are they
I think it's a train station.
Is it in Texas or what state or?
I think that he took the train to North Carolina.
To where they are. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, duh.
So, and then but before she goes, Diane Ladd, Marietta, is super drunk with her martini as usual, and insane as usual, and just demanding that Lula not go to meet Sailor as he's, as he's getting out of prison.
And she's at her own place. Her and her kid have their own place, and she's on the phone with Marietta.
Right. Yeah, and Lula's like, well, I'm going, and and Marietta's like, no, and so Lula throws her glass of water at the picture frame of her mom.
You like to throw drinks too.
I do like to throw drinks. I have a history of throwing drinks.
I thought of that whenever I saw that.
Yeah, I have lots of drinks, I have lots of stories about throwing drinks. Because I had lots of drinks.
To throw.
Yeah, not anymore. Yeah, I'm almost 1 month no alcohol.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
So go me.
Yes.
For all those listeners out there, I am trying to go no on the alcohol, so wish me luck.
You can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
I've got a great therapist too.
Okay. And alcohol's just boring.
Alcohol
It
sucks.
sucks to be hungover.
I hate being hungover.
Yeah. I don't like the way it makes me feel anymore. Honestly, like I'll have one drink and be like, oh, I'm feeling weird, and I just stop
I just
it.
don't like the loss of control because I wake up the next day and I'm like, oh fuck, what did I do?
Yeah. Yeah. No comment.
But anyway, enough of that sidebar. So they're at the Sailor's at the train station, and there's some guy on a wheelchair talking to like this dying bloody man, and he just goes, "Hey man, same thing happened to me last year." Has nothing to do with anything. It's
another bloody car wreck that they happen upon
Oh,
when they're driving there. It's just
yeah.
like what is this?
That's
car
what
wreck
happens.
thing?
Yeah. So yeah, Pace and Lula. So they meet Sailor at the train station. It's kind of awkward. Like
It is.
In fact, it's really awkward. Like they're dynamic because they've been apart for so long.
Now she's a mother.
She's a mother. She has a kid. She's grown up.
And so Pace and Sailor finally get to meet.
Yeah. As they're cutting back and forth, the mom's just like, no. And
Not very happy about it.
yeah. So I don't know. I think she's like at some point like. I don't know if it's this part or another cut, but she's like pulling her hair down like over her face, like her long blonde hair,
Don't
just
remember
like
that.
just screaming no, and she's got like just like she looks like Cousin It with just hair covering her entire front of her
I totally
face
forgot
and
about
head.
that. That's wonderful.
So whatever, they pick up Sailor in the car. Lula's driving, and they're kind of just driving in silence, and it's awkward. So Lula pulls over, and they get out of the car, and Sailor tells Lula, this isn't going to work. Pace never knew me for these 6 years.
She starts to cry too. She starts to cry, and he's just not into it. He's like, "Don't cry." It's like pitching to tell her not to cry. Like you're not going to be respectful of her emotions.
Yeah. And so Lula's like, "Please no, like don't go," and blah blah blah. He's like, "Don't worry about it." Like he's like, "You guys are going to be better off without me," kind of thing.
Yeah. Like threatens to leave, and then he actually like leaves.
Yeah, and so like Laura Dern does her cry face, and it's like Sailor. So Sailor's walking down the street.
It's like empty.
Yeah, some empty street. It's got like kind of a Pulp Fiction vibe to it because these like gangsters like all roll up in a circle around him.
Like West Side Story.
Yeah.
They're gonna start breakdancing and.
Which actually, there's two people from Jerry, the guy who played Jerry Horn was in West Side Story, and the guy who played Ben Horn, I believe, was also in West Side Story. Richard Bramer? Or no, Russ Tamlin. Dr. Jacoby was also in West Side Story. So yeah, it could have been a reference. I don't know.
Weird.
They were both in West Side Story?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Either Ben Horn or Jerry Horn, I can't remember. I think it was Ben Horn who was in West Side Story, and then also who is?
The Dr. Jacoby.
Dr. Jacoby, yeah.
Side note, fucking the guy who played Ben Horn, was it Richard Bramer or whatever?
Yeah, Richard Bramer.
I think I'm pretty sure he discovered Sharon Tate.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
So
much history.
He sure did her a favor.
Yikes.
While we're on the subject of like older classic cinema, there was a year, I don't know what year it was, but Diane Ladd was nominated for something at the Oscars, and she lost to Ingrid Bergman, who is Isabella Rossellini's dad.
What?
Yeah, so kind of a strange connection there.
Wow, it's like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon's mother. Or something.
Yeah, and apparently like a bunch of people in this movie like also were stars in Scorsese movies too.
Oh, I love Scorsese. Scorsese. I love his stuff.
I am not for me, but everyone else seems to love him. I don't know why.
It's not bad.
So the gangsters, they roll up West Side Story style in the street, and of course, Sailor mouths off. He's like, "What do you faggots want?" And so they beat the shit out of him.
I can't believe they said that. What do you like? Yeah.
It was 1990.
So he's like knocked out, and there's like a glowing light that appears, and fucking Cheryl Lee, fucking Laura Palmer, comes in like on a wire, fucking dressed like the Glenda the Good Witch, and Nicolas Cage is like the Good Witch.
Yeah, she's like floating in a bubble, wearing the pink Good Witch thing, and
a wand.
And her voice is kind of like got some like weird effect placed on it.
I think so. Yeah.
It sounds just kind of like robotic almost. It sounds weird.
Yeah, like garbled.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And so the Good Witch shows up while he's kind of knocked out, and she's like, "Lula loves you. You love her. Don't be afraid. If you're truly wild at heart, you'll fight for your dreams. Don't turn away from love."
It's something like a video game NPC would stick.
Yeah, right. Like the fairy says something to Link and Zelda.
Like, just see like a bubble pop up, like the text bubble.
Don't turn away from love, sailor. Don't turn away from love. So then Sailor kind of like comes to and gets back up, and he's still got all these gangsters around him. They're like, "You had enough, asshole?" And he's like picking himself up, and he's like, "Yes, I want to apologize for referring to you as homosexual. I learned a very important lesson." And then he takes like his pause and just screams, "Lola!" and takes off running down the street.
Stella!
And so
yeah, like going back to, it's really funny that he apologized for the whole faggot remark.
Yeah, I would apologize
cool.
for referring to you as homosexuals. I learned a very important lesson.
Why not?
And so
you're tearing me apart, Lula.
So Sailor like runs after back to where Lula is like caught in a traffic jam.
This is when the picture of her mom her mom goes up in smoke. Right after that scene is where it goes up in smoke.
Okay, yeah. And he jumps on the hood of the car and
he starts running over cars.
Yeah, he's like jumping on like car hoods to get to her. Like he realizes like, oh my god, I need to get her back. What the hell am I thinking? And then and so she's excited, and then they hug, and Pace smiles really big. And
he's also his face is all beaten up, and
his nose is like broken.
It reminds me of like the fucking thing from Arrested Development, where maybe he's like in the wheelchair, like trying to get into the beauty pageant as a handicapped person, because she's trying to prove that handicapped people can't get into the pageants, but she actually gets in and wins. Anyway, she's wearing like the nose. She said she was like this big nose,
like a prosthetic nose.
Yeah, she's like, this is the nose that Nicole Kidman wore in The Hours. So that's what it reminded me of.
Oh my god. So so whatever.
And they hug.
They hug, and
the kid smiles.
And he says, Sailor says, "I just met the good witch." And then finally, he sings "Love Me Tender"
as the credits roll.
Yeah, "Love Me Tender," which was he would only sing to his wife.
And then they kiss, and then it fades after the credits.
So the credit sequence goes with him singing the entire song.
And he's actually singing it.
Yeah, and that's actually Nick Cage singing it.
He does a good job.
He does. And so the credits roll, and that's Wild at Heart.
Yeah.
So getting back to the book.
Yeah.
Real fast.
Yes.
So Santos is only mentioned. Johnny is alive, and apparently still great friends with Marietta, because Pace refers to Johnny as Uncle Johnny.
Oh.
So they're like friends.
I'm kind of sad he died. I liked him.
And in the book, at the very end, when Sailor's like, this isn't going to work, he leaves her. And the last sentence in the book is, and Lula let him go.
Oh, they don't end up together?
They don't end up together. So David Lynch changed the ending to make it a happy ending.
Wow. Happy for some.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Skype fucking sucks.
Fucking is terrible.
We apologize for the sound, but we lost Seth, or at least the recording of it toward the end there. He had some insights that we're gonna try to find, but if not, Skype sucks.
Don't use Skype.
Write your congressman. Anyway, The Secret Podcast of Laura Palmer is created by Paul Medley.
Produced by Amanda J.
Music by Revenue LLC. You can get in touch with us on Twitter and Instagram at
TSPOLP, and email us at tspolp@gmail.com.
Yeah. Or to go to tspolp.com on your web browser.
Yeah, we have a website now. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's like, Join us next time for Industrial Symphony No.1, where we talk about David Lynch's stage play that took place in 1990, the same year as Wild at Heart and Twin Peaks. So stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.